All right. We're live. We are live. It's coffee and blues harmonica time with my buddy Hank Shreve. How are you, Hank, this
Hey,
morning?
I am copacetic. How about you?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, I'm feeling good. The sun is out today, which is really nice because we've had I was just telling you a second ago. It's just like we've had a lot of snow this January here in Colorado. Not that it's uncommon, but maybe a little more than usual. So I'm dealing with a lot of the pile up, and when you have an 8 pound dog, it gets challenging. You got to shovel the grass, man. You got to get the shovel out and shovel the grass.
I know they're closer to the ground.
Yeah, they're really close to the ground, and it's just like they're just
Yeah.
So you have to help them a little bit. But welcome to those joining this live stream. If you haven't figured it out, Coffee and Blues Harmonica, or Coffee and Blues Harp, I should say, is now becoming a slight series at the third episode of having some good friends and quite well known harmonica players in our community join and just chat. And whatever comes up, comes up. So, welcome if you are here live. I see a few people tuning in right now. Excellent. Great to see you guys. So, Hank, what is your January like? Like, are you currently, do you move around and travel for work, for gigs at all typically this time of year, or do you stay put? What are you up to?
Yeah, I because of the weather, I usually try to stick around home because I made the mistake, let's see, about 4 or 5 years ago, I made the mistake of, driving from Oregon to Idaho to do a gig, and it snowed really bad. And, luckily, I was, my dad plays bass in the band, as you know, and I was driving with him, and he is an experienced snow driver. But
Mm.
yeah, luckily we had that because yeah, but even he said, yeah, let's not do that again.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's not do
So
that.
yeah, no, usually this time of year I try to stick around, here. Playing a gig tonight, in fact, with the new jazz project I think I was telling you about. But basically, it's the Hank Shreve band, but we play jazz and I play drums in the
Ah,
band. Yeah, and
that's right. You did tell me about this a little bit.
yeah, it's a cool, kind of a side project. It just kind of happened, and hopefully, trying to get into some more of the jazz venues and stuff. But we all like jazz, and I'm not much of a jazz harmonica player, but I have roots in jazz drumming,
Yeah.
so it's been fun for me, and it's cool. The keyboard player is Randy Andrini, and he actually went to high school with my dad, and they were like buddies in the jazz bands in high school, and they kind of like reconnected. So it's a cool thing, So
Nice.
yeah.
And it's nice to have something local that you can get together and still play, and you're not worried about getting to the airport. This time of year, I do the same thing. I'll play a little bit locally, I teach a lot, and then, I am jumping on a plane in the end of February, and that's iffy sometimes, but not that I won't make it to the airport because of a snowstorm. Let's not put that out there. But like, I am heading kind of south. Really, it's going to be through Indianapolis and Georgia and Florida, etc. So it's kind of like part of Kentucky, maybe. It's we'll see. They're having snow in Florida right now, so I don't know, man. It's
Yeah.
they had snow. I was watching a video of somebody. I don't know what part of Florida, but I was like, he's got like 2 or 3 inches of snow sticking to the ground. Where is this?
Oh, I know. And then New Orleans also, which is like even more unheard of. It's like, huh?
Yeah, man, it's crazy out there. But I got a question. You made me think of something, which is like, you said you don't play much jazz harmonica, but the roots on the drumming is influenced, is it has a jazz influence. Do you find that some of that is coming into your playing at all? Like, do you notice that those roots are influencing other styles and or areas where you're playing and it's not jazz?
Oh, constantly. Yes, absolutely. Because like when I was playing jazz, when I was playing drums in the jazz band, both high school and community college, I never really, I never really understood the music.
Yeah.
It's like I understood blues, because that was like what I always listened to as a kid. So I just never really, got jazz until many years later when I kind of took some time away from it and just started, listening to it on my own. And then I kind
Right.
of like connected the dots. It was like, oh, okay. I used to think blues and jazz were like so far away from each other, but they're really not. Some of it
Yeah.
is like, like some of the bebop stuff, like there's some jazz that's like really far out there.
Yeah.
But anyway, but like going back to your question though, um, the jazz drumming has helped my musicianship like overall, because jazz drumming, it also like it's kind of good for you as a human too, because it teaches you uh, coordination, particularly independence, like where you're
Mm.
doing one thing with your right arm, something completely different with your left arm, and then keeping both feet going together. It's not quite like rock drumming or any of that kind of stuff. It's like it's a different animal. That's why not a lot of people play jazz drums, like a lot of drummers.
Yeah, I picture somebody with four arms doing a version of this, but more complicated. Like,
Hmm.
you've got to have your brain in a few different areas at once. And in harmonica playing, it's interesting because it is. It does. We do mix kind of this idea of like, even though you may be playing melodically, you're still rhythmically engaged. We were talking about that in the breath rhythms class that you and Shane recently taught, which is like that influence has to come out somewhere outside of just when you're playing support role and rhythm. It's an influence that runs through your veins, man, when you're soloing and all that. So, and I guess I do now that I asked the question. I just want to see how you'd answer it, really. But I do hear that in your playing for sure, man. But it sounds like when you play, it sounds like most of what you are influenced by is primarily blues harmonica and the blues music in general. That blues influence is heavy in your playing. Um, and from the recordings I've heard of yours of your original music, I mean you're a blues man at the
Thank
end of
you.
the day.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's what I aspire to, and I thought for a while that, I wanted to be a rocker,
Right?
and like more on the blues rock kind of side, and I do a little bit of that still, I like to go down that road sometimes, but I just I always come back to the blues at the like you say at the end of the day. It's the music that speaks to me most, the music that I love most. Um, Probably tied with blues, I would say, is Latin music for me because, and we've talked about this before, but I've always drawn a serious parallel to those two because, like, they're both
Yeah.
very passionate styles of music, and the artists are, just singing and playing from the heart, and Latin
Yeah,
music is very, it's a similar kind of power as blues and gospel.
definitely.
So yeah, but
Yeah, it has a lot of passion in it. I'm a big fan of this group Mana. Do you know Mana?
I've heard, yeah, yeah, hmm.
Mana is definitely a rock band, pop. We'll call it pop rock, but they're a Mexican band, and they are just phenomenal. I discovered them when I was traveling as a young guy in my early 20s through was that early 20s? Yeah, or 20 years old down in South America. I discovered them. I might have been younger. I might have been like 19 or 20. No, I was 20, 21. Yeah. I was turning 21 on that trip. And I love it. I listen to it constantly, which is a good reminder to all aspiring blues harmonica players or people that are watching this thinking, where's all the harmonica content? It all ties together. It's like I'm so influenced by that stuff, like you are with jazz too. You're not just a blues guy. You're into jazz, and it's important to expose our ears to as much as we can, especially the stuff that speaks to us. So I'm often thinking about like pulling one little angle from like the Latin stuff is powerful, especially the rhythmic component, like we're talking about here. Like if you think of the word samba just came to my mind. I don't know why, but if you think of like these off time beats that happen a lot, these jazzy and Latin feel and funky kind of fuse, and then you think about like a straight ahead shuffle, and you might be thinking, well, that's out of place, but not really. Like when I'm playing like a straight shuffle, I often want to throw something a little unexpected in the timing of that phrase. So all this stuff comes back to help you. And it reminds me that a lot of people lately are saying to me, I don't have a focus. This sounds like pulling away from a focus. No, the focus is how you spend your time like practicing. But exposure and stuff, like I'm listening to everything, and I'm sure you are as well.
Yeah, as much stuff as I can, and I think we've talked about this before too, but for the listeners out there, if you have not read the music lesson by Victor Wooten,
Victor, yeah.
Victor Victor Wooten, Victor Wooten, yeah, it's a very incredible book, and it talks a lot about this is like how to practice and how to learn, and I don't want to give away too much of the book, but one of my favorite parts of the book is when he first meets Victor, young Victor meets his new music instructor,
Yeah.
and he's a very kind of mysterious guy, and he's kind of unsettled by him, not like in a dangerous way. He's just kind of this guy's kind of strange, and so
Yeah.
Victor pulls out his bass, and he's like running some scales, warming up, and the music teacher looks at it, he says, "Hey, put the instrument away." Put it back in the
Right.
case.
Right.
Yeah,
I
and he
remember
was like,
this.
yeah, it's like I love it. He said most of the practice is from the mind, and you don't
Yeah.
need the instrument all the time to practice.
I
And it's
love
like
that.
I do too, and that just like with drumming, it's like if there's like a few years ago, I learned the Bernard Purdie shuffle, or the Purdie shuffle for and because it's like I love shuffles, and I wanted like at least be able to play some version, if it comes up in conversation in a lesson or whatever. So I was learning this, the Bernard Purdie shuffle, and took me a long time to do it, but it was it was a practice of just breaking it all down. I kind of lost track of where I was going with that. Sorry.
Maybe it was related to the practice in the mind stuff.
There,
That's what's
thank
on my
you.
mind.
Actually, thank you. That's what it was. Yeah, sorry. It's early, folks. Sorry. But like, no, I was, yeah, and that's what I would do is like when I didn't have, when I wasn't at the drum set, I would, walk around and sing it, it's not beatboxing, you're just vocalizing the
Yeah.
beat,
Yeah.
yeah.
Bro, I was sharing just the other day. You guys, this is really important, I think, what we're talking about. First, I just want to say that I do the vast majority of my practicing in my mind. Even though I play a bunch, I play like every day. I'm so lucky. Every day I probably put in, if you include lessons, and I'm not teaching many private lessons, I've had to pull back for various reasons, and I'm putting my time elsewhere. But I would say that at least a couple hours a day minimum. I mean, there's a but I'm doing more. I'm spending so much time. Okay, so fifth position I want to talk to you about for a minute, and it relates to this. Once, maybe you caught it, but Nick put out a killer of slow blues with fifth. It drove me bananas. I was like, this is amazing. And then I was like, I don't know how to do anything. I've never improvised in fifth other than learning sugar, which taught me, I just didn't have any sense of how to move around freely improvising.
Hmm.
But once I tried it into a backing track, it immediately just focused on those notes of the scale, which is the same thing as the major pentatonic, but it's the relative minor here, and replaced that root note in the right area. I realized, oh, this is not a problem. You can absolutely, certainly, confidently improvise in fifth to a degree here, right? I spent that night, man, when I woke up at 4 in the morning, I should say the morning, transposing licks from second to fifth in my head. And when I picked up the harp, I had all these new ideas. I just visualize it and then work it out. You guys, if you're not, it's no different than a mental rehearsal for an athlete, or music's a great example. Obviously, dancing would be one.
Hmm.
Going through the moves, motorcycle riding. I watched a video the other day where a guy was like, before he was going, the guys that race in the tracks, they lean so low they hit the ground type of racing. And he was going through the motions without the bike. He was sitting down before the race, going through the turns of the track in his
Yeah.
mind and rehearsing. This mental rehearsal is like, I think that the practice we do here is more relevant and more powerful than anything. Yeah, man, this topic fires me
I
up.
I agree 1,000%. And analogy that I always use is it's like exactly what you're talking about is acting. And even comedians would kind of do it sometimes too. But like it's like there's some actors that are like really full on method actors, and they wear the same clothes as the character that they portrayed. They smoke the same cigarettes, or
Right.
and like they go all out. And it's like there's some that are really intense about that, but it works for them. It helps get them into character. It's kind of the same thing with music. You kind of sometimes you have to kind of get into character. for the song, or and sometimes there's nights where it's like, as much as we love music, we might not be feeling it that night, and you have to do things to kind of help get yourself into character. For
Totally.
sure, yeah. You brought up fifth position, which is so cool. It's funny you mentioned that because I've been on a similar kind of journey myself, and I've been talking a lot about with my students lately. And you said it like it's fifth position is almost the equivalent of cross harp in major.
Major
You know,
pentatonic, yeah.
major pentatonic. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just stay away from one or two notes. And but it's true. A great song to kind of mess around with the Little Wing, because a lot of
Mm.
people do it. Now, Jimi Hendrix does it. He played in half step tuning, so the key might be hard to find. But a lot of people will tend to play that in E minor, which is G major. But check out, there's a version of Frederick Yonnet
Oh,
playing Little Wing. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. It's like this
uh-huh.
is like the early days of YouTube. Um, and it was like the Dave Chappelle block party or something like that. And Frederick Garnet played Little Wing, and he was playing it. It was on a C harp. Where are you? There it is. Yeah, like that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
And it's like, oh wow. But I had a funny thing because somebody years ago somebody was asking me about fifth position, and I didn't know what it was. And then, but I found out that it was something I've been doing like almost my whole the whole time I've been playing harmonica. And part of that came from playing in the church because they do a lot of songs that are like that. Like they start off, in maybe E minor or something, but then they kind of resolve to G major.
Yeah. Right.
Another great example of that is Beatles tune. Close your eyes and I'll kiss you tomorrow. I'll
Oh
miss you.
yeah.
Remember, I'll always be true. And
Right.
then while I'm away, I'll write home every day and I'll send all my loving to you. Then it finally resolves right there. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's where fifth, yeah, it does open a lot of doors in that regard for sure.
I like the fluidity of the scale from a visual perspective. And then what that means is that the way these scale notes lay out off of the three hole, they're all condensed on this hole where three draw, if you include the blues scale, three draw, three half step bend, three full step bend, everybody. And because of that, there's this cool emotional vibe that we get to take advantage of. My buddy Jerry and I were talking about it. I'm talking about to all my friends at this point. Like, are you playing? Are you playing? And he brought up Mel Torme's "Coming Home, Baby."
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Da 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 da. Da 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 da. I don't know how to
Yeah.
play it yet, but the notes are there though. I
Mm-hmm.
need to learn it. But the point of it was like there's going to be all these cool melodies that are right off of it. You can just work with, like, even trying to find like St. James Infirmary or Summertime, one of those kind of classic that you'd play in third position minor or blues scale. So all you third position harmonica freaks and third position head dudes, you guys think about fifth. I'm here to push this. I'm going to be talking about it a lot more. Eventually, there'll be a class. Learning a melody is a great starting point, but it doesn't really teach. It didn't teach me, quite frankly. I know it probably
Yeah.
helped, but it didn't teach me how to improvise. It didn't teach me what to do once I was free from the melody. And the same thing happened in fourth position to me. I learned Black Orpheus, love playing it. You throw me
That's
a
a great
solo,
tune.
I'm lost in fourth because I haven't taken the time to really map out. Isn't Doesn't it relate to first position?
Yeah, yeah, it's very similar to that. Yeah, I need to spend more time with it also, if that's
So
any
it's
consolation.
yeah. So all this stuff is just it's interesting. So if you guys don't know it, we're talking the relative minors to these majors. So like 12th position's the relative major to third minor, or however you want to think about it, backwards from there, and second to fifth, major to minor, and now we'd be talking fourth would be another minor position, and first would be major. But yeah, It's really interesting because we forget to transfer knowledge. And by the way, this idea of transferring knowledge, man, it keeps going. You think about a harmonica. Yeah, the notes change when the key change, but the layout's the same. I still have three draw, three half step, and so you're not. If you're not thinking about this, it seems so ridiculous to say it, but just don't be afraid of moving around to different positions and different keys. Each harp is set up the same way. It just feels different, and the notes are
Yeah.
cheap.
No, and I know what you mean. I get that from occasionally from students too. It's the resistance to try new positions, and
Yeah,
it's like, and I understand that, but it's like you're saying though, it's like they're not as scary as you'd think. And I've been finding this on the chromatic lately too. Like, I play a lot of chromatic, as you know, and I love
yep.
the chromatic and everything. But there's still a couple keys on the chromatic, actually more than a couple, that I struggle with, And thanks to Shane, that little squirt.
Like the little brother.
Well, he's like a little bro. I know. I love the guy. Yeah, no, but thank you to Shane though. Shane's been kind of a good, kind of a kick in the butt for me as far as like, we were at Spa and we are jamming an F, kind of an F blues, and he was playing, really comfortably in, an F blues on a C chromatic, and I was like, oh, cool, cool. And he just looks at me. He's like, do you ever play in this key? And I was like, I've tried it, And he was like, you could do it. And he was right. I was just kind of scared of it, and I
Yeah,
just
it's
didn't,
funny. Yeah,
yeah.
that's what happened to me for fifth, I think. I think
Yep.
I just sort of assumed that I would keep my focus and not really worry about it. I don't really need to. But no, and here's why, folks. The enjoyment goes up not only for you just learning something new, especially the further along you get in your playing, but the other side of it is the key of the harmonica for diatonic changes when we change position. Let me say that again. The key of the harmonica, if you're in the key of just pick a key, and you stay in the stationary key that you're going to play in, but you move in positions, you're changing key harmonicas. And why is that important? Oh, my friends, because when you're improvising, you may not want to pick up that in C, that F harp, right? But the A flat and fifth might feel real cool to pick up based on the lower tones and where the juicy spot of the scale lays out on that three. And by the way, that is a perfect example. I'm sorry, I said it would be in the key of like if you were in G, let's say on an F harp. I don't know what I said, or C on an F. No, I said it right. C on an F in second position. Yeah, it puts you on that A flat. So you just start thinking about the feel. Like here's if you play a two draw. Whoa, sorry about that. That was
Whoa.
not nice. I got 8,000 harmonicas on my desk, but if you play a
Yeah.
C, compare this is the F harp. It's a totally different sound and feel.
Yeah.
You get
Ye-
warbles on blow
See,
notes for the
that's the
moon,
one. Yeah, I love that. That's the thing I love the most. Yeah, though.
or the 3/4,
Yeah.
which now would be the equivalent of the 4/5. On a cross harp, it goes on and on. That gives you the trill up
Yeah.
here as well, and now you got a relevancy. If I'm thinking right on the 10 blow bend, licks that would have been like are up there. They're up there now with these cool. Everything changes. It's like starting over in a good way. It makes it fun and exciting. So don't be scared. But I will say, for beginners, it's good to have a focus and be able to say something first in a position before you walk away from it, and try something new.
Yeah, no, I've experienced that before, like especially with chromatic, it's like I'll work on a certain scale or, a different key or whatever, and then I go to play it on stage and it just doesn't work,
Right.
for whatever reason, And yeah, I have to kind of like go back and like, back to the drawing board, And
Yeah, dude. And what's interesting, not to go crazy on this whole fifth thing, but on a B flat and C minor, and you pick up the A flat real quick, that's a better comparison than going cross, we run into more major possibilities, even though really it's a minor scale. What the
Hmm.
heck? So they're really close now. Now the keys are close in range, but we're playing C minor on them, right? The A flat is the fifth position and the B flat is third. One advantage I think of fifth is that if you think about the way the scale is divided, I'm hyper visual. So this is how I always relate to the notes is like if I'm going the bends
Nice.
layout, it's a more challenging, I could argue much more challenging because I have to access two full, a step and a half, whole step and a half on three and full step. And then I have to move, and I could bring in the four bend and the six bend. But on this, we don't need all that business. We only got one hole where we need to worry about bending, and it's the three hole. Let that sink in. So I was doing that backwards. I did that on the A flat, but
Still sounded good.
I don't know. I can't do runs like that yet, but
Hmm.
but it's just cool. I'm just
It
geeking
is.
out because I'm so
No, man.
excited about
Yeah,
it.
geek away, geek away. Yeah, I bring out the geekiness in people, so that's all good.
So
Um,
let's back up and tell people. Oh, you got an idea? I see a harp in your hand. What you
well,
got?
I don't know. I don't want to like because I learned this from Todd Parrott actually recently, and just like we love Todd's another guy, just like Shane is just like fantastic player, and I got to
He is.
kind of sit and kind of compare notes with him at Spa a little bit, and he was talking about he's like we talked about fifth and sixth position, which is another cool one. He said, hey, you ever try sixth position on a country tuned harp?
I was just talking to somebody about this yesterday. Six on a
Yeah.
country.
Oh my God.
Rodrigo, Barrianos.
Yeah. Oh man, there's another guy. I love him. He's
Okay,
just
sorry. I don't want
yeah.
to distract you. Sorry,
No,
sorry.
yeah, Rodrigo's awesome. I hit it off with him at Spa, like, and it was one of those things where he knew who I was, which I'm not used to that. I was like, oh, hey, cool, right on, you're cool, yeah. But anyway, so Todd, yeah, we were
Yeah.
talking about. So I got this A flat country tuned harp.
And did you retune the two draw as well?
No, I have not done that
I've
yet.
heard something about a half step tuning on a change up on a two draw, which does something up. Rodrigo went way down the rabbit hole on this
Oh man, well
conversation.
I'll have to call him and yes, ask him about
Make sure
that.
you've cleared your schedule.
Yes.
We love you, Rodrigo. If you're watching this,
Yes.
man, that we love it. We love this
Yeah.
stuff.
But yeah.
Woo!
Oh, no, not that one.
What's the root?
Three draw.
That's what I thought. Three draw,
Yeah, yeah,
which
which is
which means
cool.
seven draw to three draw. You a nice range. Besides the five draw adjustment, are there any overblows you need for the scale?
I, I'm not. I mean, you can, but I don't. I don't do none of that
Can you play the
monkey
scale
business.
just from three to seven? And we can
Yeah.
hear it.
See. So that's the five note.
Yep.
So you get the second degree. The two. You get that on the four bend, which is a really cool inflection.
I'm
And like
hearing like da 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 na
yeah,
na 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 na.
that's why I've always been kind of drawn to those like Indian and Middle Eastern kind of
Mm.
scales, like those have always just sounded so cool to me. So you kind of get a little bit of that with the. And you could get away with just doing all draw notes. Oh, that was a blow note.
It's like the middle of third position where you don't need any. You technically don't need this to play the seven blow. You could just go the juke rib. It's
Yeah.
like kind of like some of that stuff.
I know, and it's cool because like I only have like a couple of country tuned harps, and I use them for like very specific songs.
Yeah.
And so it's cool because yeah, now I have a whole new use for country tuning now. It's like
This is good for everybody because it reminds you. How long you been playing harmonica?
28 years.
And me too. I've been like almost 30 years or so, right in that
Nice.
zone. And it reminds people that not only does learning continue to take place in the journey at all stages, but it becomes, I would argue, even more imperative that if you don't want to become a stagnant musician with your progress and evolution, that you're pushing that learning process harder. Like, okay, I often think like, okay, there's technique what is left in the technique zone? What's left in the theory? Oh, theory, boy, that's wide open. But
Yeah.
what's left in the position that I'm anxious to play? Well, now I discovered fifth. What's next? 12th might be on the list because it's such a useful position and I'm familiar with all the notes because of third position minor. The same freaking notes are available. It just shifts up to the two full step bend or five draw for that root. The, we got to push, but the push that we do at this point is like it's like sink or swim. I feel like it's actually vital to my the fire being kept alive, and we all need that excitement of like what's the challenge on the horizon musically that's going to keep me focused and push myself so I don't get on stage and just kind of like when it comes time to play. You want the nerves, you want a little excitement. Sometimes throwing a new position is a great way to do that. It's like, oh, here it
Yeah.
goes.
Absolutely. And if you get into playing like longer nights too, like 3 to 4 hour gigs, it's like, 4 hour gigs luckily aren't as common nowadays.
Yeah.
But they still exist. It's like if you're playing harmonica, if you're only playing harmonica all night long, it's a good idea to mix it up at some point, whether that be a different position, a different pedal, a different
Yeah.
whole new effect, even a different microphone, whatever.
Yep.
It's like, but doing it in a different position is a cool way to switch it up. I do that myself, like, especially, like, on we every once in a while we do like the couple of casino gigs where it's like a 4 night, run.
Those
And
are
it's like,
tough.
they can be, yeah, they can be. Luckily, the sets are shorter, so that kind of helps with that. But by about day three or day four, though, you kind of there's a little voice in the back of your head that's kind of going like, "Aren't you tired of these songs yet?"
Yeah.
And so you have to kind of shut that voice up, which is always hard. But then you also like let's say you've been playing. Mellow down easy or whatever, for 4 nights, and you've been playing it cross harp. It's like, why not switch it up? Try it in third position, or
Exactly
maybe
what I was
even
thinking.
first
Yeah, like
position. Yeah,
just change the position work to your songs and you'll get a new light, new way
yeah.
of thinking about it.
Well, and sometimes that'll stick too, and you never know. You might find like you really like that, and it's kind of signature. Like I mellow down easy was one of those for me. I used to play it exclusively in cross harp, just like everybody else, with a couple of embellishments here and there, of course.
Yeah.
That's I can't help but do that. But then so like one night I just thought to do, and I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm gonna try it in third. Oh, different.
Yeah.
It's yeah. I was like, huh.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. Yeah.
What key you got there, man?
Oh, that was a G. Yeah.
You got a low G?
Oh no, regular G.
Oh, I thought I saw a blue comb or something.
Oh well, I did that actually, so I could tell it apart from my other G harps. Yeah.
That's great. I've never tried that. So that we're learning together here, man.
Hell yeah.
Um, it's so true. By the way, we didn't even start this. I didn't say it. For those that don't know, Hank, I didn't actually really truly introduce you, but aren't you in Bend? I ask every time, but you're in Bend. Am I finally?
Eugene actually. Couple.
God dang it. So
Yeah,
this
that's
is my
okay.
final penalty. If I mess that up again, dude, Eugene.
Yes, yeah, but Bend, you know what? I'll take Bend though. Bend is beautiful. It's really cool over there. So,
But you're in Eugene, and
yes.
we already know you've been playing for about 28 years. But I think that the best way to get to know Hank is to start to listen to his music. You've got some releases out, and you've got a YouTube channel. I will pin that in the video description.
Thank you.
Be sure to go there and subscribe to his channel. He likes to come on sometimes and provide great inspiration to the harmonica community, and you don't want to miss it. I watched in the delay of our own live video that you were holding it up while I was playing. I wasn't paying attention. I had an ADD moment, but you were showing everybody the cover that you replaced. You want to show us that blue
Oh,
cover?
yeah, yeah. I've always been, tinkering with my harps and kind of putting them, taking them apart, putting them back together. And this is kind of a
Nice.
product of that. I even have like it's half vented. So it's
You are. Yeah, you're down. You're deep in it, man.
I don't know why, just kind of experimented with it, and but anyway, yeah, I have a weird habit of swapping out combs. Just usually I like the blue because like I only have a couple of them, so it's easier for me to tell what key the harp is, you know.
Totally. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
hmm
love that too.
yeah.
A
I was
long
talking
time
to
ago, a guy made me custom harps, and he made look. I don't know what the hell he did, but I had a yellow. I loved it because he colored the combs, and he said it's safe because I've either triple that whatever he did that protected it from me eating this shit that he was using. I don't know what, but so I had this. Yeah, I had all the color code, and I'm visual as hell. So I was like, God, I still remember the keys right now. The green was G, the blue was C, the yellow was B flat, the red was I can't remember. D, pink was like E flat. He had all these different cool colors. But then one day I noticed a little flake come off, and I went, oh, ditched the harps
yep.
like it. I should have just had it sanded off and started fresh, or just taken the reeds out and robbed the reeds. And I still have some of these, but the color. I want to come up one day with like a system of like removable, something that can be removable that we use almost like, just to give you an example, not this, but like let's say you had a tiny rubber band and there were different
hmm
colors, something that helps you mark a harmonica that's not permanent by
Yeah.
color, so you associate the key with the color.
Yeah, yeah, I that would be great, like it might be like a little rap kind of situation or
Something,
whatever.
man.
Yeah, they have those
Or
for
may,
drums,
what if we did what if we create like a liner for a case, and the liner was just color coded?
I mean,
Like you set your G in the green, you set your yellow, your B flat in the yellow, or you set your C in the blue, and that's your color, and it's not associated with it.
I
Somebody
think
out there that's good at this stuff, maybe you should create something that's color coded that helps us out here. Look
yeah.
who joined the chat. It's Shane.
Oh, hey man, what's up, Bubba? We talked a little smack about you earlier. So
Yeah, man, you might have to review tape to see what was said.
no, we started and then no, we did a 180. Yeah. That's
Um,
good.
yeah, man, this is good stuff. I, I, I'm so excited that we're just chatting it up here, you guys. I hope you realize how valuable it is to have Miss Shreve with us this morning. Let's see if there's any comments. They love your beard. First of all, the beard has come up a few times in the
Oh,
chat.
thanks. It's a little crazy. It's starting to get a little wild. I might have to trim it soon, but thank you.
Did you rob a Halloween store, sir?
Yeah. No, actually, I provide most of the local Halloween stores. Yeah, I grow it
Just
out
stand
really long.
outside like this.
Uh-huh.
There.
Yeah.
You make some good money during in October.
Yep.
So, I don't know what's wrong with me. Good morning to everybody tuning in. Hey, to my YouTube members, John and Charlie and Art. Thanks for being here. Oh, somebody says, Blue Third says, yeah, if you like Mana, they have a great tune to play along with. Justicia, Tierra y Libertad. Check it out. I probably know that, I'm sure. Boy,
Mhm.
they're amazing. You guys should listen to them if you're not.
Hey, what was that tune of yours? It was an instrumental rumba, and
Oh, I played Room de la Casa Roja.
that one. Yeah, that's another good one too, because that one like kind of goes back and forth between kind of like a major key to a minor key,
Hmm.
kind of. Yeah, yeah.
And I did it all in cross.
hmm
And yeah, it'd be a cool one. Are you suggesting maybe that's a cool one to experiment with, like branch out on?
Yeah, and it's a good example of like what we were talking about earlier. So, and
Well, let me do
I'll promote your song so you don't have to self promote. So,
that's cool. I like that. It put me on a D flat harp for fifth, I think, if I'm doing the math right. Uh, yeah, it'd be cool to have like a low D flat or something like that.
yeah, those are hard to find.
Yeah, it's specialty type of thing,
hmm
but it
That
could be done. Yeah, there's some cool stuff going on in that song. It's one of my favorite little. It was just improvised, we just hit the tape and went. But the lines that came out of it live in the song when I play it with the band. And that's another cool lesson, which is sometimes the beauty of creating in the moment and improvising leads to these things that can become more permanent, and something that leads you to want to write a composition, or compose an instrumental or write a song in general because of what happened when you weren't thinking and you're just playing. It's amazing how that can happen with the right players. It takes the right people to bring it out of you, though, I feel like.
It's very, very much so. It's like what Charlie Musselwhite was saying. Is like because Charlie's known for always having like killer bands. Like his whole career, he's always like hired the best musicians. And he was saying like he was like trying to remember it. Oh yeah, well the better they sound, the better they make. No, the better they are, the better they make me sound.
He's
And
right.
it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's so true. And I totally agree with that. And I always try to surround myself with, extra caliber musicians because it's true, as intimidating as it might be on at sometimes, it definitely ups your game and, it helps you, you're like, okay, I better step up to the plate, and that's where a little bit of theory can be helpful. I remember
Communication. Yeah.
I used to be like one of those guys like you need to learn theory. You need, learn as much theory as you can. Now I've kind of gone back on that a little bit. Now I'm saying just, learn the fundamentals, learn about what key you're in, and, it's like learn the numbering system. That's the big one. Learn what 1, 4, 5 chords, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like yeah. Then the other stuff after that comes into, will fall into place. That's how it was for me, anyways. It's like once I understood the numbering system,
Yeah.
everything else was like, oh, so okay, a diminished seventh. Okay, so I know what a diminished is, and then that, it's like it all comes together eventually.
Am I right that that all derived? I mean, it's pulled from the scale degrees themselves.
Yes, yeah,
And so
exactly.
you so for those that don't know, it's just the order, it's the notes in the scale. Like if you look at a scale, where that note lies in the order could determine the chord that is then being played or the note outlining the chord that's being played. Just like your first note is the root of the one chord, it's the
Hmm.
first note of the scale. Um, I don't know. I don't
No,
want to get. I can't talk too deep about theory. I
well,
know just
yeah.
enough to
Well,
get me in
that's
trouble.
well. I was about to say it was like we might start losing people right about
Yeah,
now.
yeah. By the way, you can tell that Shane just jumped on because he wrote, I got a question. Hank, do you play a lot of fifth position? I know Ronnie's getting into it.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Shane, we just spent like 20 minutes talking about fifth. Yeah.
Yes, and yeah, to answer your question, yes, I do. I've been big fan of it for a few years now, and like what I was telling Ronnie, it was one of those things that I'd actually been doing, like not consciously, for a very long time. I was just kind of like an ear thing for me. I didn't really know that like that was fifth position or whatever, but recently I kind of like connected the dots and was like, oh, okay, and it's really fun for sure, yeah. But
Man, I'd like to bring you in on a collaboration. I don't
okay,
know if we can
yeah,
make this happen. I'm going to announce this publicly. This is, who knows what will happen from this, what I'm about to say. I've always thought it'd be cool. There's to do a little bit of collaborate, and I do collaborate with friends, but in a harmonica kind of way. There's less of that going on. I've been talking to Greg Isor, and I'm sure you're familiar with
love
Greg.
Greg. Yep. Hmm.
Oh, what a heavy player, sweetheart of a guy, and
Yes.
hell of a songwriter and singer too.
Yeah.
Just all around great musician. Well, he has been pushing me. He wants to record, and we've been talking about where that could happen. Going up to Spain. He's in Spain. I'm like, it's a little harder for me right now. And then I'm like, when are you doing your next Austin trip? That's where he planted his roots
That's where I
many
met him,
years. Yeah,
actually.
you met him,
Yeah.
and he comes back. So he said, "Yeah, because Josh is out there, Fulero. Josh Fulero. Oh, power! Oh my God, have you heard him play harmonica? By the way,
A little bit. Yeah.
whoo,
He's
that guy could play
solid.
harp too. All
Yeah.
of it. His guitar playing just knocks me out. I'm thinking that it'd be cool to have you come out and do something. Me, you, and Greg, and capture at least a tune where we do like a nice little instrumental or something or other. Maybe we'll have a fifth position thing going on. Who knows what will happen, but it'd be nice. I'm just planting that, man. I'm putting that out there. Little plant, a little bug, put a little bug in your ear, as they
Oh
say.
man. Planted. Yep. All good.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's amazing to get to collaborate with people that are your buddies, the people you respect musically. There's nothing better than that. It's a powerful experience to be able to make music with. Yeah, like you said, surrounding yourself also with people that are musicians that are better than you. I got lucky in that department because for me, I was always at the bottom for the first like year of learning harmonica. I was somehow miraculously and luckily around. It was in Austin, I guess that's why. Better harmonica players, better guitar, just great guitar play. I was always the weakest link, which made me much stronger eventually. And sometimes maybe when you first start and you just don't know, you're unaware that maybe you're not surrounding yourself by the. Just use your little instincts. Everyone's got instincts, and when you hear somebody that's like, "Whoa," trust that and hang out with those people. They have so much to share. I'm so thankful for that, for being in that situation where I was constantly learning from better players.
Oh
Always,
man,
just
yeah, 100%. And here's another little secret. It's a bit of a controversial opinion, but not everybody agrees with it. But uh, a good drummer makes a happy band, you know. And like a lot of people will say, well, no, no, a good bass player makes it, and that's true too. But if you have a good drummer, that makes the bass player happy. So it really starts with, having a good drummer. And you know what? They don't even have to be the greatest technical drummer. They can be like, as long as they got a good pocket. Like there's quite a few players here in Oregon, like they don't have all the gospel chops, and like can do like fast, crazy flashy stuff, but they lay down such a great pocket, and and it's really easy to play with, and it's like I'd almost rather have that sometimes. I'm lucky. I've been, playing with the great Tim Donahue recently, and I just love that guy. He's just a sweetheart of a guy, and he's a mix of everything. He's technical, and like so much, technical stuff and independence, but he knows like when to play a really, laid back, simple beat. You know,
yeah.
and it's really cool, like, and but then when you give him a solo, he just takes the gloves off, and it's just like wow. But anyway, yeah, no, it's just the groove, the pocket, like you and Nick were talking about. It's like, that's the most important thing, at the end of the day.
And the great players make great decisions. So
Yeah,
they're the ones that decide to not lay out the 99% of the shit that they can do and do the 1% that's right for the situation.
well, that's part of the reason why I always talk about Paul DeLay so much. It was like Paul DeLay like could play very fast, and he would it was like he'd drop these little bombs like every once, and he would just like
Yeah.
playing, and then he would just go into like something wicked fast, like you know uh, like that was a terrible
Yeah.
example, but it was like he would play kind
Yeah.
of like space, and then he would just like drop this fast bomb, kind of
Uh-huh.
like Charlie Parker would play almost. It was like kind of like cool, 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 and then blah, 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 blah. Wayne Shorter also is like another prime example of that. It's like they just know when to like drop this stuff on you, and it's like and that's what I like. I tend to get turned off when it's all flash.
Did
When yeah, when it's like all this it's like, okay, okay, shut up, just stop,
yeah.
just stop,
Yeah,
but
right. Pick
yeah,
your
but
moments.
pick your
Kim,
moments, yeah.
Kim Wilson's got a great quote from an interview where he says the way I approach improvising, I think it was in regards to improvising specifically, is the analogy he gave was just it's like I've got this souped up Cadillac and I'm cruising down the street in front of all the clubs. And this thing, has the monster V8 and all that, and I'm just cruising. And everyone's staring and everyone's waiting for me to step on it. They're waiting for it, but I don't give it to them. He goes, and he has a great analogy. He goes, and then right as I'm about to turn that corner, and everyone's kind of turning the other way, that's when I lay into it. And I'm like, yeah, like it's a great example of like you can wait. It's when they're not expecting, and you give them something like that it has so much more meaning to what you're doing. So it's like, yeah, developing. And Kim's the king of pocket playing. I mean, if there's a
Yep,
guy that knows how to just extend, he's like an extension of the groove. All of his
yep.
improvisation is so. I just can't get enough of that dude. Every time I hear him, even though it might be a lot of the same ideas coming out, they always sound fresher than anybody. it's like just this morning I opened Facebook for a split second, and the first thing that came up was like a Kim Wilson post that said, "Hey, I should make an album out of this," and it was like from COVID. It was
Oh, I
2020
remember
where
those. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
oh my God, that stuff is so good. And the quality's good too, the
Oh
recording.
yeah.
And he starts playing, and I'm just like, once it just immediately hypnotizes me. His playing is, it's got to be up there in the top two or three of my favorite
Sure.
stuff in the blues harmonica world.
Yeah,
He's,
Junior Wells is always kind of that guy for me too. Like you're talking, like pocket playing and just, cool
yeah,
rhythms. It's just funky
yeah,
kind of stuff. I mean, I've always been drawn to that because I'm a drummer, and it's like there's certain players where it's like they're playing drums on the harmonica
yeah.
almost, or playing bass on the harmonica. Like you guys were talking about Snooky. Like Snooky was kind of like he would do kind of both. He was
Hmm.
like kind of like a little bit of like the drum beat, but also kind of the bass line too.
Nice. Yeah.
You would always do that little
And,
fast trill.
and then the Big Walter and Sugar Ray Norcia connection of these guys that just, heavy tongue blockers, first of all, that's a big part of it. I think you got to say that. It just has to be
Hmm.
put out there. And they just they just come from that groove, that heavy groove. Like Sugar Ray is just, it's so powerful. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but this, what's the song that keeps coming up? His song on the Super Harps album. God
Oh,
dang it. Has to do with the better off. I'd
oh,
be
life
better
will be
off.
better.
Life will be better.
Yep,
And
that's a great tune. Yeah.
yeah, and so like it's a great example. There are plenty of others, and he's got a lot of releases out there you can go check out. But like we're talking about Sugar Ray Norcia, Norcia, but like that tune is a great example of just like not only does he put it where you want it, but he just puts it in a way that's like it's like Babe Ruth hitting a baseball, man. Just
A-
click, hits that pop. It's
Absolutely.
just something so tight about his playing,
You
and
know,
tongue
yeah.
blocking's a big part of
Tongue
that.
blocking. Yeah, and I Sugar, you guys, you and Nick, and I think you talk about with Shane too a little bit, but you guys were talking about like unsung heroes or like the lesser
Yes,
known, or not even that too, but like harp players that don't get enough credit,
yeah.
and
Nick and I were doing a whole
yeah, that was a good
rundown.
one. Yeah, and Sugar Ray Norcia for me has like always been on that list, and especially as a singer, he does not get enough credit for how freaking
Oh,
great of a singer he is.
yeah.
Mark Dufresne said he's the Frank Sinatra of the blues, and it's like
Yes, yes.
I have to agree, man. I mean, like he's smooth, perfect pitch and great phrasing, and he's actually very well versed and well rounded as a singer.
Mhm.
I mean, like he sings, big band jazz really well, sings the hell out of blues, but he also is a great country singer too. I mean, like on that album, Super Harps, I'm gonna steal your baby.
Right.
Like the way he sings that is very authentic country, kind of like you guys were talking about with Lazy Lester. It's like
Yep.
there's some, yeah, and country singing is much different. It's a different approach. Not there's a lot of blues and rock singers that try to sing country, and they get pretty close, but it's like Lazy Lester nailed it. Chuck Berry is another guy that definitely deserves to be, mentioned in that. Sugar Ray Norcia, it's just like beautiful stuff, but that's just his singing, and then it's like talk about
Oh,
his harp playing. It's like, damn,
S- Nick and I have been talking for a long time about, for over half a year at least, about
Mhm.
doing a class on the unsung heroes of blues harmonica, and he's certainly on the list. It's not that people don't know of him; it's just that not enough people do. More people should be checking him out. And we went through that whole list. I think it's a really good. If you missed it, the chat with Nick, go watch that, everybody, because we went through and listed a bunch of players. We didn't get to everybody, but we got to a good chunk of them. And it, you know, we need to be inspired and be listening to all sorts of stuff. Who is here today? I'm just checking the chat real quick. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for giving this video a like. We appreciate it. I
Yes,
certainly do. It helps my channel gain a little traction.
same here. Yeah.
And be sure to go to Hank's channel as soon as I finish this. In fact, I'm going to do it while I'm not wasting any time. I want you guys to really do this. I want you to subscribe I'm going to go to YouTube. Look, you could be doing this with me while I'm talking. I just happen to have an advanced ADD, so I can do this.
I got it too. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm typing in. Here we go. Look at this. He's got a. He looks so great on the channel too. Everybody, look at Hank Shreve is his tag. I'm just gonna put it right here. You can't miss it now. Let's
Thank you.
just all take a moment as I put it in the chat. Click that link right now and subscribe to Hank's channel.
And
And
I promise to put out more content. I promise. I know I'm a little slow to do it, but you know, I plan on doing more. So yeah, don't worry.
oh man, whatever you can put out is always appreciated. I think we have to do what Yeah, but if you're
Mm,
motivated, yes. I've been doing this now in January. This is day what, 28 or something? I don't know what the date is today. 29th.
mm-hmm.
I went on a rampage of everyday posting for January, but that will not keep up in February, just for the record. But I think that it is going to inspire me to keep up a little more regularly, maybe 2, 3 times a week at least.
Yeah.
That would be nice to connect with folks. And if you missed it, I also want to say that Hank's been a part of many classes on Harmonica 123. So if you're keeping up with the website, gosh, we've done tone seminars, Louisiana harmonica styles, breath rhythms. There's another one I'm forgetting. There's all these
Mm,
cool classes. There might be one more, but those classes. Oh, the one where you broke down your own song,
mm-hmm.
and that was a great one. I want to say it might have even been third position, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
it started off in second, and then yeah, the solo was in
That's
third.
right.
I think that's yeah. I need to go back and listen to it
We need to
actually.
figure out. But there's been some good ones, and I just want to be clear that I try to choose people that I respect in these classes, people that I love their playing, but also most importantly, on top of that, is the way that they communicate. And Hank's a great teacher, so if you're looking for a
Thank you.
private lesson, I don't know if you're still offering, if you got
Oh
openings
yeah.
for any.
Yeah. I'm it's filling up a tiny bit, but you know, you just shoot me an email, hankshreve@gmail.com, and we can go from there. You know.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Oh,
think it's important to support when you guys can, and learn from different teachers. You know, there's some things that you're going to get. Like if you've been following me for a long time, you'll get more of, like, for example, if you want to learn more about a full tongue block approach, Hank uses primarily this tongue blocked approach, which is really heavy,
I mean, I do some
close to it.
puckering.
No,
Yeah, I do.
how much?
I'm
Well, hold on. Let's talk about this. Maybe
yeah.
when do you not tongue block? What are the
Oh,
considerations?
like the bottom holes, you know, holes one and two, you know, and when I'm
Okay,
doing fast stuff that involves bending.
me too. Pucker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I didn't
Yeah.
know that, man. I don't know why I assumed you were tongue blocking that
No,
stuff.
that's cool. Thanks. I'll take it. I mean,
Can you get before we go today? Maybe this would be a cool way to kind of roll things out here. Is like I could play you an example of how I do it, and then maybe you could share an example of like how
sure.
you switch, like an example of a movement in the style of improvisation where you're
Yeah.
just playing off of, let's say, any position doesn't matter,
Hmm.
and at some point you're going to switch, and we try to determine like where is that happening, tongue block to pucker. You want to play something?
Yeah, sure.
Give us a sample.
What key do you got there?
It doesn't matter. I have an A harp in my hand, but it doesn't
Okay.
matter.
Yeah,
I
that's
could
cool.
do G or
I
whatever.
like I like A harp. Yeah. Well, I'll show you this like one exercise that I do. This is always kind of like, you know, it's like not only an exercise but kind of helps set the foundation, you know. So basically it's like I'm vamping on the two draw. So it's like chord to two draw,
Yeah.
chord to two.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So now, so that was all pucker. Next step is like to do that, like, so it's like pucker, tongue block, pucker, tongue block.
Ah.
So, uh-oh. Oh,
G
jeez.
harp.
Okay. Okay. So it's, yeah, pucker, pucker,
Ah.
tongue. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How do you do that without moving down here? Are you tongue blocking
I
to
don't
the
know.
right?
Yeah. Oh, I play upside down also. Yeah, but yeah. I know.
That was messing me up. I
I
forgot
know.
about that. I know that too. I already know that. So
I
that's
forget
cool
it
that you
too.
practice that, but then you just got through saying a second ago, I don't ever really tongue block holes one and two.
I yeah, see, and like when I'm playing on live, when I'm playing on live, when I'm playing, on stage, it's like I tend to pucker that note more. It's like when I'm
What about like an example of three and up where you could mix tongue blocking and puckering? Can you
yeah,
just
yeah. So anytime I do kind of like the juke or any variation of that, it's like so pucker in on the three, and then tongue in the rest, or even single. Sometimes I'll even single those notes out with tongue blocking too. But the first note is puckered, and then tongue.
me too. Okay, so far we're very similar, actually, much more than I realized. So I'd
Yeah.
always tongue block the, and then sometimes the three and sometimes not.
Yes.
I'd sometimes keep the tongue for that, but often I don't if it's a bend or a series of bends. Like
Yeah.
that's pucker at the end.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So for me, it's always the
I love your
same
was.
exact thing. The very bottom or anything fast with bending, I'm always puckering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You can hear when the tongue blocking comes in, you hear the octaves or you hear a slap usually, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes not because do you also find that like I like to leave every once in a while, it's less common, but leave the tongue on the harp as
Oh
opposed to
yeah.
always slapping it.
Yes.
I almost always slap, but every once in a while I'm like, it's kind of cool to not engage in the slap.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a softer, it's not as loud and in your face as like puckering those notes, which, it's like if you're playing with a horn section or even just one horn, for whatever reason, that articulation, the tongue blocked tends to kind of like it blends with the horn a little bit better. I could be, just making that up, but like in when I've played with other horn players, if I, use more of like either a very soft, puckering
Yeah.
embouchure, or if I tongue block, I notice it just blends with the horns better. And I think it has to do with the dynamics of it. It's like whenever I've heard a horn harp player play with horns, it's either like like yeah, or it's kind of like.
Yeah,
It's like the harp is like kind of playing on top of the horns or whatever. It's like they don't really
totally.
blend, you know what I mean? Yeah, so it's like it's why tongue blocking. If you're not doing any tongue blocking out there, definitely just start introducing like little bits of it to your playing.
100%.
Yeah, because like
Did you develop that way? Did you develop kind of as a
it was an
dual
accident.
embouchure
It was
player? Or
yeah, it was an accident because I was 8 years old when I started playing, and I didn't have a harmonica teacher, so I was all self-taught, and just kind of learned by watching and listening people, and there wasn't even YouTube back then, so and low-speed internet, so but anyway, yeah, so I started all puckering, and then one day, just by pure dumb luck, I was just like.
you
I was
hit the
like,
octave?
and I was like, what's that? That sounds like a thing, And then I was like, huh. And I just like I thought And when you're a young kid, you think you invented things. So I was like,
Yeah,
so I
yeah,
was like, oh, I came up with a cool sound. Yeah, I was like, no, man, no.
yeah.
But that's how. And then like so then after that, that's when like I kind of started just introducing little bits of it at a time. Like it started mostly as. you know
And then the slaps came later.
Slaps came later, yeah, and that was another thing where it was like I was I started doing them, but I didn't even really realize I was doing it. And that came about like cuz I have this, you have this too. I think all musicians have this. We all have like a go-to lick or something we play when we
Yeah,
first pick up. Yeah, so like I would, like a it was something like that, and I remember a student just going like, "What's that sound?" And I was like, I don't know. This is back when I first started teaching too, so
yeah.
I had no idea. And then like he was like, I started going off about this other sound. He goes, yeah, no, I appreciate that, but that wasn't what I was asking. And I was like, oh.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then the next lesson, he was like, he was like, that sound. that sound right there. What is that? And I was like, oh, I didn't know what it was called. I didn't know how to name. I was like, oh, that's the sound of the tongue going into the tongue block or the to the tongue split. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't know they were called tongue slaps. You know.
Yeah. A- And it's funny because most people are finding the octaves and splits. That's what happened to me. Then a single note slap came shortly after. I started integrating tongue blocking early on in my playing, starting on year two-ish or so. And it was the same progression. It's octaves and splits. Cool. This is fun. Okay. And then when I found the slaps, I realized that that was the missing piece of the puzzle for figuring out a lot of these sounds in the recordings like Sonny Boy that I was listening to. I was like, there's something I can't get that they're getting. And I knew that I was onto something because the thing you mentioned on the two draw was a thing that's how I play the two draw, where I pucker it starting on a chord to a, I've tried to explain that for years to people. You just got to mess with it until you get it. Kim Wilson has talked about that, by the way, too, where uh, he was having a nice conversation with somebody who was I won't mention, a full tongue block player, and they were like, "Yeah, but you can't get that sound." He's like, "Really?" He's like, "All right," and he kind of turns off the side. You tell me which is which, and he plays it. He keeps playing. You tell me when no visual cues, just in case, but just. And they're like, "I can't tell," and he's like, "Yeah, that's my point." So there's an area where you can take advantage of that, and that's that
Hmm.
two draw as a pucker player. And where else could it be more important than that? Because that's that chord we need so much to influence our playing, man. That's the
Yeah.
root and
Yeah,
cross.
no, it's true. Yeah, and it's like it just like we say, it's like you just start by doing little bits of it, you know, and then you'd be amazed. Like eventually, it kind of like it almost like takes over you.
Yeah.
Like whenever for whatever reason, like whenever I'm teaching like some of my beginner like non-blues harmonica students, because I got quite a few of those, so like Ode to Joy or any of those kind of songs,
Hmm.
for whatever reason, like I when I do those kind of melodies, I tend to tongue block them like exclusively, all tongue block, 100%. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, like I just like
No speed, no bending needed.
yeah, yeah,
Because why wouldn't you?
yeah.
Yeah, it makes it that area of the harp for everybody's listening. Anytime you're between, even let's just call it 4 through 8, like for now, like the middle zone, and you're not hauling ass or doing a lot of bending, you should. I'm full time tongue blocking that area always. I mean, if you're wondering whether it is one or the other, and you don't hear a lot of widdly diddly or whatever you want to call it, like super. I'm not going even the fast stuff. If there's no bending, all that kind of stuff is tongue blocked. I don't. It's not until the bending comes in that I think are both figuring out together like that we're similar in that way. That, and I'm sure it's common for a lot of hybrid players that by the time you go, I just want now I want to hear you play something all puckered where you wouldn't, because sometimes your tone is so good, man, that it's like now you can't always really tell.
Oh, thank you.
So if you play something like that,
Yeah, yeah.
what does
Like
that sound like?
there's this one little run. I kind of like it's kind of inspired by Curtis Salgado a little bit.
Oh, okay.
All pucker, right now.
That kind of thing.
Yeah,
That's cool, man.
it's a great lick. I love it. Yeah, and I stole it from Curtis, so which I'm pretty
Nice.
sure it was probably inspired by Paul DeLay, or Charlie Parker or somebody, So,
Boy, that dude's so creative, man.
hmm
I should see if he wants to come on and chat it up in one of these
oh,
mornings.
he'd
He'd
be
love
good.
it, I'm sure.
You might need a couple 2 or 3 hours on that one, but
Yeah, for sure. But he's such a cool guy. We're talking about Carlos del Junco, Is that who
Oh,
you're talking about?
I said Curtis Salgado.
Oh, you're talking about Curtis Delgado. In
But
my
you
brain,
know,
I was thinking Carlos.
Carlos though, yeah, Carlos, same there. He's another one of my heroes, and just I absolutely love what Carlos does. So
Got you,
yeah,
Curtis. Yeah, Curtis is a great player too. Not to take anything away from Curtis. I love Curtis's play. In fact, talk about another singer, powerhouse singer, harmonica player. Oh
yeah.
my God, like a Sugar Ray Norcia, Curtis. They fall in this. There's only a handful of them. The soul singer, Tad.
Oh,
We got
Tad Robinson,
Tad
yes,
Robinson. We got
yeah.
some, and he's a cool guy. And these, I feel so lucky, like to have these connections and friendships with all you guys, because like I think it's a mutual thing too. A lot of people just feel that respect and appreciation for being able to connect with these people. I know for me that I've appreciated for so long, and then to have now a friendship and think about that. Yeah, why don't you call Tad? Like I just haven't talked to him in a while, but like I could easily pick up the phone and be like, "What's up, brother?" And I'm
Yeah.
sure he'd love to do something like this and hang out and see, and we could pick his brain, man. Maybe we should all hang out. Maybe we should do a
Oh,
super session.
that'd be great. Yeah. No, it's funny you mentioned that. I've been kind of having that with Charlie Musselwhite recently. You know, it's like
Nice.
either I'll get a text from him or I'll send him a text. And like we talk back and forth. It's really cool. It's like it's just a cool feeling. Like look down at my phone. It's like Charlie Musselwhite's. And same with like Joe Falisco too. It's like
Yeah,
or even
yeah.
when Curtis calls me too, it's just like it's a funny feeling, Like I was saying earlier, it's like I just assume nobody cares about me, you know.
No way, dude.
I know, but like and that's I've always been a little self depreciative, but it works for me though. I mean, like I just it keeps me moving forward.
Man, your
So
playing is such a huge inspiration to me and to so many players out there. I know because I talk to people all
thank
the
you.
time who bring your name up, and you have your own thing going on that is so powerful, man. You've got such an incredible sound on this instrument, and I am so thankful that we are friends, man, and we get to
Oh,
connect.
likewise, man. No, and I feeling is very mutual, and love the way you teach and explain things, and you're just a cool ass guy. So, and I
Thanks,
appreciate
brother.
it. By the way, I don't know if you heard me, but when you were playing earlier, I said I absolutely love your wahs. You have like
Oh, I
some,
missed that.
yeah,
The
you have some
Wawa.
of my favorite wah sounds of all time. You know,
Really? Me?
yep.
And what's
Oh, yeah,
funny is if you look at my technique, it's weird. I'm
yeah,
over talked about it yesterday
which is cool.
that I don't do this type of stuff very often.
Yeah,
I can't really get the hunker down thing to
yeah.
happen.
I kind of do. Yeah, sometimes I'll do that when I have like it's kind of a mix of both. It's
Yeah,
like kind of like
it's a
what you're
hybrid.
doing. Yeah, yeah. And I don't know if that's because I play upside down or whatever, but yeah. Sometimes I'll even just move the top.
I'm moving both. Yeah, I like that
Mhm.
one. I'm doing both. Like it's sloppy
Yeah,
looking. If you look at it, it looks sloppy, but the fingers are together like a mitten. I always tell
yeah,
people, and I forgot to mention this 2 days ago in the hand technique talk. It's like you got mittens. If you keep your hands like the slee stack, most people don't know that reference. Okay, let me stay on track here. Uh, then that stuff makes a huge difference to be able to just do tiny openings like you were doing too. And so thanks for mentioning that, man. It's
hell
something that's
yeah.
a big part of my sound. I feel like I've always been sensitive to a million variations of how we can color sound with our hands when it's not just the big wads. There's all these other little
Yeah,
just little things. It's almost this more subtle stuff that I find most interesting. Like where it's this like when you're coming out, just little things like that. Even people forget how much that the hands can do, and yeah,
yeah. Well, I've always loved like one of my favorite sounds ever since I was a little kid. I just always loved the plunger on a trumpet. The wah
yeah.
wah plunge. Like I was always just, especially when somebody does it like really well. Like I always thought that was like one of the coolest sounds in music.
It's
you know?
killer.
Yeah, and so
Yeah,
like that's the closest we can get to that. It's like
yeah.
we won't get like exactly that growly kind of
Bro,
sound, but we get close, you know.
I was hanging out with my dad the other, a couple months back, and I saw
Uh,
this in his place, and I said, "Are you using this?" And he said, "No." And it's
oh,
a
perfect.
large shot glass. It's not a
Yeah,
normal. Can you see how wide the rim is?
absolutely. Yeah,
So that means
yeah,
it's like the Joe Falisco approach.
yeah, yeah. Did,
What do you
yeah.
got?
Did I show you this? Yeah, so it's like an Easter egg.
No,
And
you haven't shown me that,
yeah, I
man.
got this. I got sent from Joe Flisco also. But what's cool about it, it's like you can actually, if you do it right, you could do a one hand walk.
Oh, what? Oh,
Not
that's
bad,
sweet.
right? Yeah.
No, that's not bad at all, man. Just suddenly I had that song, Easter Bunny, something or other, the Clark song that is, I can't remember the name of it. Do you know
Oh
what I'm
yeah,
talking about? He's got like an Easter Bunny song. Do you know this?
yeah. Oh
Hop,
man.
something.
Oh,
That's what popped into my head. You're a
yeah.
huge William Clark fan too, right? I mean,
Massive. Yes, massive.
like
He's top three.
it's something we didn't talk about today, but like I definitely hear his vibe in your playing when I listen to you.
Oh, thank you. Cool.
Just
Mhm.
and what it is it's the tone and it's the ferocity when wanted. This like attack that he had that like is very hard to imitate, and then the creativity side of what you're able to do. That you always play some really cool. I always hear some really cool lines coming out of you, man, coming down like descending lines and just unique stuff. Probably also a lot of influence from delay and all that, but like,
Yeah. Mhm.
but it's all you at the end of the day.
Well,
So
thank
that's what's
you.
really cool, man. And I'm delighted that we got to connect and talk about all sorts of stuff. Today has been a lot of fun, man.
I know. How long have we been on?
I
Jeez.
think we've been chatting like an hour and
Okay.
10
Yeah.
minutes maybe or
I
something.
just realized that I was like, I think it's been a while. I feel like, but now it's good. I'm having a great time, and yeah, we seem to have similar a lot of similar interests. So
Yeah, man,
it's
we'll have to
uh,
connect more. I'll have to start chatting it up, reaching out to you more often, and
yes. Yeah. Anytime. Anytime.
maybe we'll do this again down the road. Who knows? I'm sure we will.
Yeah. I might start doing interviews on my YouTube channel.
Uh,
Something I've been thinking about for a while, and so I'd definitely like to have you on one, possibly two of those in the near future. So
Anytime, man.
yeah.
Anytime.
Um, but I was going to ask you something else, but that's okay. We'll save it for another time, I guess.
Yeah, man,
But
for sure.
I
We
seem to
got
have finished my coffee also, which might be a problem. Yeah.
right. You need to get that refill going,
You
man.
get that refill. Yeah.
Um, Thank you guys for being here that are still here, joining, that are checking this out live. We appreciate you. Thanks for giving this video a like. Always say that because I really want to get this channel reaching more people. It's not just a self-serving thing. I guess it is in some ways, but like I really want to try in 2025 to branch out and reach new people that are not tuning in and expose them to great people like Hank and other cool things that are going on. So, on that note, don't forget, everybody, scroll through the chat. Did I pin it?
I think you
I'm going
did.
to pin it right now before we go. Y'all take a second. No, it's pinned. Uh, Go ahead and I'll pin it right now. I think something else was pinned. Go to Hank's channel, subscribe to his channel. Hank, thanks for being here, man. And I
Thank
look forward to chatting with you before too long, man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you very much. Thanks.
All right, y'all. Make it a great day. We will see you soon.